did spend or didn't,
Okay.
then make some recommendations on where somebody might be hurting that we might want to consider a resolution later to move the money into their fund or.
Understood. I have hit the high points with some highlighting to show you exactly where the stress points are and just some points to show that we're watching what's going on. I'm really reviewing these basically
You've been doing it
every month.
every day,
You
right?
bet, practically, yeah. So this is the sum total. Remember that this is the first three periods. This is January, February, March. It does not include certain expenses that come out at the beginning of April. So some of these numbers in real time are a little bit different than we're seeing, but this is the first three quarters.
Good.
But from a preliminary review, nobody's in bad shape. There's a few spots to watch. Well, I'm kind of glad the department heads aren't here today. We can probably get through this pretty quick.
Yeah.
Next time, will be our mid-year budget review, and then we'll be going into the audit, or excuse me, be going into the
Budget.
budget season. Excuse me, I got distracted. We'll be going into the budget season.
That looks familiar. I hate that look.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly just happened here.
Power got jacked.
We are is
Logan always says that the HDMI cord causes issues.
Out short end.
is it
Yeah, I don't know.
is it in the
Issues
script?
the casting
Oh,
instead of the cord.
that's a good idea. Bluetooth.
It says push a sort. Well, let me see if I can do the casting. Sorry for the.
All right.
Hey, the station's here. Um. Is that the PC on TV?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll go to display settings. If you just right click on your main screen
Okay.
and then go to display settings. There'll be a multiple display. If you scroll down a little bit.
Full displays.
Connect.
Is Dominic here today?
He's been in and out.
And
Right,
see if it
kitchen.
works. If your control one agent is.
What is that?
You might.
There's a chipper for the
Control.
I haven't seen.
And then on the remote, just say.
I have a meeting with her and the
I
sheriff
always have between control.
on the
one,
complaints. And
Cast.
I'm gonna get boss and then give her an official notice. Then we'll take it from there. Ah, where she is. Jen check with me.
I know her vehicle was there when I went over the plans on.
Try.
Oh, Chipper Maiden.
Well, it's saying that I need an update.
It was nice getting kudos from Jim. about
Yeah, how did that
stuff.
happen? Yeah, he screwed up.
Maybe we'll get to him.
Is that a,
No.
you have a PDF for,
Remember,
and you can't cast. You can email it to me, I can cast for you if you want.
That might be what we have to do.
Right.
All right, let me forward that email to you.
Okay.
Excuse me, we're having technical issues.
I will connect to there.
you send this stuff
You?
over.
Apparently the TV doesn't like my computer. So she's connected.
No, that's true. Some of the stuff doesn't make sense. You know, two TVs at home that don't. They're
Yeah.
older and they don't do squat.
They apparently don't have the HDMI cable anymore, so. This is about 5 years old, so maybe we can buy it from them.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a nice one. With my eyes, that's what I kind of need in my office now. I'm kidding. All right. Awesome, thank you.
Just let me know.
Go ahead and scroll down if you would, please. So I highlighted a few of the revenue lines that we're seeing. Are we all ready to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. The SO tax, which is specific ownership tax, BCD and F and AF are pretty much on track. County sales tax is a little bit higher than we anticipated, which is nice. And the general property tax there is coming through.
Is that based on 2%?
That's the 2%, and we'll see the other point. Well, it's 1.5 here.
Yeah.
We'll see the other 0.5 at in the 50 fund.
Okay.
Now, is this, I know we don't get the revenue until a couple months later. So is this
Yes.
January, February, November, December?
So sales tax is probably about a month or two behind.
Right.
So, which is fairly normal. It evens out over the year.
Right.
So really, these numbers are going to, when we look at it at the end of the year, it's going to be more applicable to the fiscal year. But the general property tax is specific to this year. So we're expecting 1.598, and so far we've received 995, excuse me, and 65 cents. So we're only at 18%, but we usually even out pretty well, especially at the end of the year once Virginia's done her tax sale. So that number is going to be pretty much right on. The county sales tax and the SO tax, those are always going to be approximations. We're never going to know exactly what we're going to get for that, but we're on track to having a decent fiscal year in that regard. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the next one. And that's so this I highlighted 24.313%. Everything we see wants to be around 25% because we're looking at the first quarter. So we did get some National Forest pilt money in there and some treasurer fees and collections. Go ahead and scroll down.
And we didn't budget any National Forest Pill Title III because we didn't think we'd get
We
it.
didn't think we'd get it.
So
I actually
much
had
is
to
it?
confirm. I
Back
thought that
up.
they put it in the wrong spot.
Go back.
Go up.
How much was that Title III?
I thought that they had put some money in the wrong spot. I actually had to confirm that it was in fact still Title III. So
All right.
that was nice to see. I mean, it is strictly controlled, but it is something that we can use for mitigation and such.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Good surprise.
Colorado Trust investment is on track, and court fines, they've only brought in $1,800, but it's 62% of projected. So that's a nice thing to see. That means that they're I took a look at all of the court fine receipts. They're doing some good work out there. So let's go ahead and scroll on down. I highlighted the transfer out. We've transferred out of the general fund 571,000. And this just shows, yes, I'm doing my job. I'm moving the money where it's supposed to go. So then we get into the expenses. So revenues, commissioner salaries at 24.92%. That's exactly where we want to see it.
That's fixed. It'll be easy to calculate.
Yeah, exactly. The membership dues, what we're seeing there at 39% are front end expenses, and the insurance, it looks like. So this is the problem. I mean, not really the problem, but this is the challenge going to be a challenge every year. The legal enrollment period for health insurance does not end until several weeks after we're done with our budget.
Yeah.
So we're always going to have little variations, and so that's what these quarterly budget reviews are for, is to identify that 43%. We're going to need to backfill that at some point in time.
well, and our costs went up because we didn't go with the out of country
Yeah,
Oh,
Well, that's not this. That's not being billed to the employee.
Oh,
But
okay.
yes, you are correct. We did, it went up a little bit, and we'll see that when we get to the 56 fund.
Okay.
This is what people, this line right here in particular is what people signed up for.
Okay.
Now, we do now because we've shifted health insurance providers, we can see a breakout. So we have to pay certain administrative fees on top of the deposits from people's payrolls. So, and the administrative fees include stop loss. So if we wanted to be really, we could in fact tack on the stop loss fees and stuff like that to people's health insurance because we do have a breakout now. But we will see more of that when we get into the 56 fund.
that wouldn't gain us much though.
No, probably not. Go ahead and scroll on down. I'm sorry to make you do this.
No,
I
you're
would be
fine.
doing this. Salaries, HR, finance, well, really just finance, doing pretty well there. Professional services, those are going to be Redlands Consulting, and that is because some of the we ended up paying some of the 25 fiscal year in 26, and we're paying finance is absorbing the total cost of that. But we talked last year in the budgetary process that we're going to break out some of those professional services for Redlands. And so we're going to move some of that money around, and that's going to drop down because right now finance budget is absorbing all of it. But we're going to move it around to Road and Bridge, just like we do for the audit. We're going to move it around to Road and Bridge and the DHS and Emergency Services Fund to help pay for some of that. So that number 32% will drop down here in the next couple of months as we make some more calculations.
Where do we put the expense for the owl? Did we put that under capital improvement for the commissioners?
No, I think they're good out of operating supplies. That hasn't hit yet because it's on this credit card.
Oh, okay.
So,
I thought we were gonna take that out of fuel
I can go back and.
because there's not enough money in operating supplies, but maybe that's the right place to put it since.
If I can, yeah,
Okay.
if I can suggest, pay it out of operating supplies and we'll move the money.
Move money into it.
That's-
It's in
Yeah.
operating supplies right now.
Okay.
Perfect.
No,
Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
HR finance. We gotta
This is,
stop using that term, but
Yeah, I
is
need
that
to
because
delete
there's,
that.
because we're paying for the support for, what's her name? I just lost it. Who does the stuff with Bob?
yes, so
Who she work for? Bob?
she works for me.
So I thought, so
She
there should
works
just
for me.
be finance.
Right, so it will just be finance. As a matter of fact, if you scroll down here, we'll get to, there's HR. I just need to delete the HR off of that other
Yeah.
entry.
Yeah.
This is Robert's budget. right
Okay.
here. And as you see, 25%, that's a beautiful thing to see. But he's doing well at 21%.
Yeah.
And if up there at the top, you can see that the finance is sitting at 23.49. So that's really where we want to see it right now.
Bob told me today we've got
Mhm.
10 lawsuits against us.
Yeah.
Page
And
7.
we may need to
Mentioned
figure
that.
out where we're gonna pay those from if they come due.
Sheriff's Department.
Yes, I'm.
Well, 4 of them are from the sheriff's department. At least 2 of them are from basically commissioners and grounds of buildings. So when those come in, I understand that Dorothy's unemployment was approved, but we haven't received a bill for it yet. So
So how are you accounting for that now in the future then? Because it's gonna be a block of money of
So
whatever.
we do have an account line. Go ahead and scroll back up,
You
please.
should know roughly what it's gonna be the
You'll
hit.
see claims. See the claims line?
Okay,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We don't know what it's gonna be yet, so when we get that information, we can do a budget amendment and put the money right there, but I
Okay.
created that
So,
claims line.
so is there a cap? In other words, do we pay X until that's picked up by the insurance company?
No, actually, the insurance company pays it and then bills us. for
Okay,
our-
do they
for our
bill us
portion.
whatever our proportion is? We ought to know what that percentage
So
is.
for Jackie Hobbies,
I'm just thinking for planning purposes, you could expect a maximum amount of
It
debt.
seems to change though, based
Does it?
on the last ones. It's not a
Not a fixed
not a
percentage, really?
fixed percent.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that has to do with the type of claim. So for instance, Jackie Hobbies, they reached a settlement of $300,000, of which we paid 16. For the young woman that was assaulted by the deputies, she reached a claim of $700,000, of which we paid 60.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not proportionate.
so it's not,
So it's not exactly proportionate.
so
No.
it's real hard to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Plan.
So we can't know until,
we won't know till it goes
Well, you
through.
can plan on $10,000.
well, we've only paid 16,000 for
For
because
these already.
for the
Yeah,
Lee Gasper and Sabato, and I can't remember which one it was, but basically
I can't
the
believe
insurance
that
company
even.
said, yeah, we've done
That's
so much.
crazy.
already.
They,
Here's your portion of $16,000.
okay.
All right, go ahead and scroll down. Please, and thank you. All right. So county attorney, we're at 25.717%. So that's looking pretty good. He's had some dues and meetings at the front. So when we see things like this, when they're at this level, this early in the game, usually that means it's a front year expense. It means that something's being paid for at the beginning of the year and we won't have to pay it again at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But we do watch it and just make sure that everything's on track.
Those are small dollars. Anyway.
Yeah, that one's small, but we have a couple of others that are much larger. Go ahead and scroll on down. So we get into the planning and zoning office. We've got the county use tax and the building zone fees. They're a little bit low right now, and these are basically real-time numbers because it's not money that goes to the state and then comes back to us. This is money that we collect.
Right.
And so we're looking at as the temperature warms up and people start building again and people start working on projects, those numbers will climb back up. But this is all an estimation based off of previous years, so we'll see where it goes. Planning and zoning is doing pretty good on their budget. There was one thing, go ahead and scroll down. I'm going to take a look at their capital outlay line. We only budgeted 4,700. They've spent 23,000. I need to take a look and see if that's why I have the star there. I need to take a look and see if that was a prior year expense that hasn't been coded back yet, or if it was basically this SIPA capital outlay is a data grant. The State Internet Portal Authority, it's a data processing grant to digitize records. So I need to find out if this was a 25 expense that was coded to 24 and needs to be moved back, or if they will just be over budget. But overall, they're still at only 25.96%. So they're doing pretty well there.
What's the difference between those two lines? You got capital outlay and then the data processing are separate, but
So I need to figure out where Dorothy or Delana coded that. I don't know if it needed to go into data processing or if it was capital outlay. If it was data process, so the difference is going to be that. So the difference is going to be for data processing is going to usually just be maybe some data storage fees, that type of thing. If it's capital, though, it's basically an investment on the future. It's something that has to be depreciated, and it might be a data infrastructure like a server space or something like that. So I need to find out exactly what she put
Where that
there.
might be what they were using to go online and fill out permit requests and stuff like that.
It could be. She may have lumped the entire expense into that
Yeah.
one spot, and I
Bet she
just need to
did.
go back and code it into data processing. So we'll see. Now we get into the clerk's office. Hey, we're making money on liquor licenses.
Liquor licenses are booming.
So, go ahead and scroll on down. Salaries are looking good. Operating supplies at 32%. That has to do with some of the infrastructure, the conversion, the data infrastructure and data processing. We're going to have to keep our eyes on that. I think that was a front part of some of it's a front year expense, and some of it is a little bit more expenses than we anticipated with our IT conversions. So they're at 27.33%. I'm going to do some deep digging on that.
Is that where her grant went?
No, her grant is going to be down here in the EBRT or ERBT, excuse
Oh,
me.
yeah.
And she's got an expense line
I
specifically
see
for
it.
that. Let me go ahead and scroll on down. We haven't had an election yet, but we did do so that date, that 100% is a front year expense for the election machines and some of the data processing there. Education, it's $100, so in education and training. So, but overall, they're still only at 26.8%, 08%. So they're doing okay. Treasurer, this one's going to get a little tricky. They're doing good up here in this area. They haven't even spent very much money at all. But down here, she has spent 219,000 on the treasurer's deed file extension. I need to find out what that is. I have had the conversation with Virginia, and it's something that it's completely unbudgeted for. You never know exactly what it's going to be. I will find out if any of it needed to be coded back to 25. I believe that it does. That's why I have the star next to it, so or on that page, so I can take a look at that. Or if we need to do a budget amendment for all of that, but I don't believe that all of that goes into fiscal year 26. I think that goes back to 25.
But even if it goes into 25, we still have to do a budget amendment. But what we need to understand what that is.
Yeah. I
You
need,
think that's a,
I've had, candidly, I've had the conversation, but I don't remember off the top of my head. And when I saw that today, I about had a panic attack, and then I remembered what it was. So as a matter of fact, I can take.
Remember talking about it.
I can take a look right here real quick. 10.300.
is this something like a filing fee with the state that goes from our county to them?
But 290.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It was, I'm sorry. Okay, so I found it here. Overbid funds for treasurer's deed auction certificate. So it was, okay. So it was somebody that had overbid. I'll do some deep digging on this, but it's probably a pass-through. It probably came in and went back out. So I'll find out exactly, because I'm looking at every other transaction here, and they're in the amount of maximum $7,000. So to see a $226,000, well, this one's there's a auction purchaser redemption. I'll find out exactly what these are from Virginia.
So we should see revenue of that same.
Somewhere,
Yeah, exactly.
because it's not a budgeted item.
I will do a deep dive and give you guys a breakdown. Oh, there it is right there. So it's basically a pass through.
But we shouldn't be seeing 123% used then.
Well, remember
That's
that we're
great.
just, so 123% is just budgeted expenses. It has nothing to do with revenue. It has nothing to do with the revenue that covers it. It is only the budget that she had a budgeted expense of $208,000.
So that's,
But
Oh, because we didn't budget either
Right,
that
what- the one
revenue
that
or
budget.
that expense.
that's
right, exactly.
Yeah.
it's a
So,
pass through.
As a matter of fact, you can see it right there in the revenue. It came in and went out.
Mhm.
So,
Hmm.
all right. Public trustee. Trustee is an interesting one. By there's contradictory statutes. One statute says that it's a salary that's paid out set at $12,500. One implies that it's a per trustee job, and you get paid when you do trustee work. So we always budget the proper amount, and then Virginia gives the actual billing amount to Monique, and she's paid out.
So her paycheck gets a piece of that
Yep.
every month.
Well, yes. I mean, and technically, she should at the end of the year get $12,500.
If you added it all together.
Yeah. So that's why it's not at 25%, because it's broken out based off of the work that she does as a. All right, the assessor is looking pretty good. We had some extra amount in data processing, and I believe that that's due to the software conversion or the IT contracts services conversion, but he's still at 24.35%, so he's doing well. Grounds and buildings seems to be right on track. Communications a little bit higher because of the phone conversion, and I think we're going to see some utilities. These utilities are a little bit lower, but there's other utilities that we have in different departments and funds that are higher, probably because of increased electrical costs. So we're going to watch those. That communication line is going to even out because of the phone conversion that we're doing right now. And then we'll watch the insurance line, but they're doing pretty well in there, except for the 43.8% on repairs and maintenance. We'll have to watch that. I know that they've been working on some projects here. I need to find out if they're doing if they're going to do any major stuff, and we can bill it out of the 50 fund in capital improvement instead of just regular repairs and maintenance. But we'll watch that. I missed that highlight.
So where does the sidewalk repair stuff go?
That's going to go in the
Capital.
50 fund.
And then
Capital.
how's it going to show it here? Doesn't it show back up here where we're using it?
When we get down to the 50 fund, I'll show you the exact account lines that we'll pull it out of.
And then while we're thinking about it, well, it's tore up. Would it be a good idea to get a automatic sprinkling system in that front yard so that I see Matt run around trying to keep it green? Kind of waste of time. If we're gonna tear it up anyway.
It is, but what we need to look at is the ground all slopes now
Mhm.
towards we need a plan to redo.
That's what I mean.
and-
So once they tear that front up and cut it to get the ramp in there, there's a time to be jacking the whole yard up. It seems.
Yeah, but we should have probably thought of that before this got set up.
Well, they slipped the grant, that's the problem as well. But if you think about it, maybe there's something you can move from some other place. Not gonna cost much, shoot, $5,000. But too much, I would think.
Yeah.
That would be useful.
Remember, we gotta repair the roof this year.
Yeah, that's true. $5,000 will buy some dope. Forget the water.
Yeah, some
Something
crack sealer.
Yeah,
That's what we got up there.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, moving on to landfill. Their landfill fees are a little low, but that'll probably increase as the year goes on, as people start cleaning the junk out of the house. Go ahead and scroll down. Their salaries are on track. Here's where we start seeing some public utilities creeping up because of increased electrical expenses, but overall they're still at 20.7%, so they're doing pretty well
Not
there.
bad,
Yeah.
actually.
Recycling. Don't have a lot of I know that they're in fits and starts. They excuse me, they send stuff out at different times of the year, so we'll see this revenue flesh out probably by the.
I know it's a capital expense, but the fence on the landfill
Mhm.
is out of that. It's not showing up here.
That's not on, yeah, it's out of the 50 instead of the 10. Yep. So as we come down here to recycles, I'm going to take a look at this salary line and see why it's at 26.97%. Maybe there was a calculation error in the budgeting process, or maybe, I mean, 21.97%, that could be a rounding error. So I'm going to take a look at that. They've had some building maintenance. They spent $1,000 when they were budgeted 500. So I'm going to take a look and see if they need, as we move through the year, it may just absorb in the rest of it. But once again, we see a utilities cost at 32%, where we should be at 25. So that's, they probably were running heaters during the winter, and that could explain some of the increased costs, and it'll balance out over the year.
Well, we have no idea what to budget for utilities because we have no
Very true.
clue as to what Black Hills is gonna do. None. And a lady in the community found out that when they rolled the clock back, everybody got charged for an extra hour of electricity.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Do we have a seat on the SCDA board, don't we?
but, well, that's only out of, we don't,
Oh,
the commissioners don't have a seat on the SDCA board.
okay. Okay. Maybe Tom Flower was a member.
He
was a board
he
member.
was a board, he
Outside.
got hired as a board member. He
Okay.
was trying to get on
I
different.
think, Sandra Atterbury's got
Yeah, she is.
that spot.
She's got it
Okay.
now.
Well, that's just radically I mean, yeah, it's probably pennies, but that's just very disingenuous. Okay, let's
That's just stealing.
what's that?
It's stealing.
Yeah, it is. So moving down, Scale House is a little bit high right now, and we'll monitor that and watch it throughout the year. Professional services, that's the district attorney. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, but we don't pay it until they send us a bill, so that's why it's only at 13%.
We'll hear about it at the conference.
There you go.
Why is auditor in there at the scale house?
Scroll back up, please. Because that's where it's been paid for in the past out of the 10 fund.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, I could break that out by department, but it wouldn't change the bottom line.
No, it's just a 10 fund. It's just that's where it is in the 10 fund. It probably makes a whole lot more sense if that was under commissioners or something else
Okay.
instead of scale house, but I don't know, maybe.
No, it's not under Scale House. It's next to Scale House.
It's under other
Yeah,
county. funds.
it's under others county functions, yeah. So it's Scale House adjacent.
It's part of it.
And what are the expenses for the scale house?
Gotta get tuned.
Tickets,
Well, certified.
the ticketing certification.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the biggest one is that certification.
Yeah, and that's done up front. So,
Yeah.
Then every other year you gotta get big crowbars and slide the deck back.
Yeah.
So now we're on to the sheriff's office, model traffic code. They've done some,
we missed district attorney.
oh, scroll back up. No, I mentioned district.
He's
attorney.
already talking.
Yeah, they're only at
You were on
13% because they haven't
scale.
billed us for a little bit. Model traffic code, they must be writing more tickets. So
I can vouch for
gotta
that.
keep your registration up. I was hauling a bale of hay. I take my pickup truck tailgate off, and I hauled a bale of hay, and it
Fell off.
crushed. No, it crushed the license plate.
Oh,
And there's nobody online.
they stopped you for that?
Right now, but it's on YouTube.
Oh, it is on YouTube?
Yeah.
Never mind. Moving right along.
Played the fifth.
What's your,
I didn't mean to.
I thought there was not live streamed to
The
YouTube.
commissioner app asked me to live
Oh,
stream this
okay.
one to YouTube.
I'm just watching.
This is transparency.
Okay.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we hear
Um,
more of your antics.
Yeah, exactly. So our donations are up, so that's, and you'll actually see that on the next page too. As we scroll down, the posse received a 14,000, it was actually $550 donation in one lump sum. So Posse is actually self-funding. They have $46,000 earmarked in the Posse fund. So
And
I'm tracking that with the Posse commander, so they're very excited
got
about that.
donations to them too.
Yeah, that's all donations. That is so I did a historical retrospective and I tracked every single donation revenue for the county back to 2016.
Yeah.
And I broke out every single thing that went into the posse fund and found that because they had calculated that they had like $18,000, but when I did the retrospective, I found that they actually now, as of today, they have about 46,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're self-funded. All right. Now, what's not self-funding is Canine Dive Team, but maybe we need to work on that. SO salaries at 28%. There's a coding error in billing that Monique and I are working on identifying. So this one's a little bit over, and patrol is a little bit under. So it balances out, but we're going to figure out that coding error there. The one to watch here is professional services. I will find out because professional services here and professional services in patrol are pushing 85%, and I believe that has to do with the MCI training, the MCI workshop and
incident.
yeah, that incident training that they're doing. So that may even out, or they may need to ask for some more money there. So if we scroll on down, you'll notice communications RMS and then data RMS cloud. One is over at 53% and one is under at 20%. I believe that they've got a coding error in there, and some of the funds, some of the expenses from communication RMS need to be coded down to this RMS cloud line. But I'll work with them on that.
Why is the body camera thing at 36,000?
So body cameras, they haven't paid their bill yet, I guess. They're budgeted for 36,000, but they haven't paid it yet. I mean, you guys signed that today, right?
We saw it today.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah,
in
today.
May.
Yeah.
If that
I think it's due in May.
Okay.
I think that's what it started.
And we knew that it was going to go up, so we budgeted more than they always put 33,000 in there, but we knew that it was going to go up, so we put a little bit more in there to cover it this year.
Then
Scroll on down. Go ahead, scroll on down. They're on top of their rent. Go ahead and scroll on down to the next page. They're at 26.27%,
pretty good.
but that's understandable because they have some front year expenses on that. So
Not bad.
they're doing fine on their budget there. Go ahead and scroll on down. As you see, patrol salaries are under. So I'm going to recode from admin down there and correct that. Operating supplies a little bit high. We'll be watching that. They're at 63%. Excuse me. Once again, professional services down here, they're at 60%. So I don't know exactly where that's coming from, but we'll monitor that. And if they need some more money, they can ask for it. You'll notice that the salary for the Fed COPS grant 2025 is at 40%. Basically, we burn that first because it's 100% reimbursable, and then we'll move those deputies into regular salary on the county pay on that. I'll come back down just a little bit, or go back up rather. So here is your military surplus DRMO expenses. I gave them a travel line because they're starting to get money in for DRMO sales. I think they've got $2,800 so far. And so we can start using that money for the drive up there to get their stuff. We can use it for those expenses.
Mhm.
So I just recently gave them a new travel line there. They also have the vehicle maintenance. As we go through the year, you'll notice nothing's budgeted there because we just had no idea. We didn't know what we were going to get. So as we go through the year, I will analyze exactly how they're spending that money, and then we'll do a budget resolution to put in there.
When they go to get stuff, is it the posse or a
It's Charles,
volunteer?
it's generally Charles Cox and posse volunteers, which Charles Cox charges mileage if he takes his truck. But he does not, but he's not paid. He's a special
Paid,
deputy.
right.
So
Just wanna make sure.
I understand they're going to be using the big truck for some things. Which we can build out, which we can build the gas.
Was that because of the weight or the towing capacity of it?
Probably
Instead of
so.
using a regular truck?
Yep, probably so.
I didn't get any particular, but I knew it was coming.
Because his truck's basically a Ford Raptor, and we have a big diesel that we can use for that, so. Okay, go ahead and scroll on down. Grant, that's the court security grant that you mentioned, sir. That's the revenue line. We received 23% of the revenue. And then down here, we're at in detentions. Their overtime, they are aware of that. I told them that if they keep on, so basically that overtime was paid out because certain people had to both be in detention deputies had to both be in court and somebody had to be on site, and so they had to double up on their salaries there. So I said, okay, but you're burning through it pretty quick. So they're aware of it and they're watching that.
Not a lot.
No. Well, it's detention, so there should hardly be any overtime except for, the special circumstances for
Right.
for the court proceedings. Go ahead and scroll down. The communication line will be worked out with the new phones they're getting, and then yes, the insurance line is at 40% instead of 25, but it's a whole budget of $470. So I'll analyze where that's going, where that discrepancy is, and we'll see if we need to put some more money there. But when you talk about court security, you'll notice we actually have the grant code 102, everything for court security, which, as we talked, the grant we talked about this morning, everything for court security will always be billed right here. So that's keeps it all in one spot and for grant reporting. Coroner salary is doing well, benefits, insurance right on. They're at 18.58%. Doing well on their budget. We still, the community outreach, you notice the 555 community outreach, those, I understand those were going to be used for the money that they collected at the Coroner's Ball. It's going to be used for scholarships and donation, and then there was some ops budget for the actual ball itself, but I haven't seen any of that information. I haven't seen what's going on there, so it's just hanging out. But what did he collect? What was it? 28,000?
20, somewhere around 20.
Yeah.
20,000. Okay, so it's just hanging out and ready to go where it needs to go. So go ahead and scroll on down. Fire. So we get into public health, and public health is interesting right now. Go ahead and scroll on down to the salary line, if you would, please. What you're looking at is all the revenue lines right now. They're going through some internal stuff trying to figure out exactly what money they have to work with and what money they're going to be bringing in. You notice that they're at 33.69% on their salaries. That's because someone that was supposed to be being paid out of a grant line. It was paid out of the county salary line for a while for various reasons. And so so there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. I do not know why the office space rental is at 33.33%. I think that the 13,500 is not the right number to have in the budget. It should have been a little bit more because their rent is consistently at $1,500 a month.
Or it didn't get billed to the grant correctly.
Possibly, yeah.
Sounds like your truck.
So insurance is doing well. So they're over on that salary lines, but down here they have plenty of grant-based salaries to be paying for things, and that one's only at 5.6%. This one's only at 11.88%. They all, like with the step, they'll oftentimes burn that first before they start burning other salary lines. So that's why there's a little bit of discrepancy there. You'll know there's a salary for immunization.
Who's doing their budget? Who's entering all that?
Their department head is the one that enters the budgetary information, and then how do I describe this? So they're very grant funded
Right.
on all their salaries.
All of it.
Yeah, about 2/3 of their salaries are grant funded. When we get into DHS, you'll see it gets really complicated for grant funded salaries. And it's taken Monique and I, it took Monique and I a solid 2 months to get all of DHS worked out for their grant funded salaries. And now we're going to do the same thing with public health. It's just a process. Okay,
Yeah,
figuring out how we literally tripled the length of, actually, no, we quadrupled the length of the chart of accounts for DHS. We're not going to triple the length of public health, but we're going to triple the background coding that we have to do for salaries.
Yeah.
We just had to get through the healthcare conversion. We just had to get through certain things before we start working all of these out. So it's on the list of things to do in the next few months. But that's why there's just little hiccups in there. But it's all being recorded, and so I can move that money exactly where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Go ahead and scroll on down. It's like, for instance, their salary for LPSD, they've got $108,000 they haven't touched yet. So.
So what if they don't spend it, does it roll over?
So some of it,
Yeah, some of them do, some of them don't.
And that's
what makes it.
and that's one
Want to
of the
spend
things
the
that
ones
they're
that
working
don't
on
right
now.
away, try to figure out how to get them.
Right. So they have a couple different types of grants. They have a cash infusion. They have a percentage reimbursable, and then they have 100% reimbursable, and then they have county funds.
Yeah.
So the cash infusion will roll over, but they also have sales. They also have certain things that are sold that they use for expenses and salaries and such. So that rolls over too. So their cash infusion and their sales, those all roll over, whereas everything else kind of, we don't, if they don't spend all of their county funds, of course, those are going to roll back into the 10 fund and be available for next year.
Yeah.
So if they don't use it, they're going to lose some of it. Some of it is going to be a rollover.
Yeah.
So it's just like that $46,000 in the BOCC fund.
Yeah.
We track it internally on spreadsheets, and I mean it's all here in the accounting system, but it's crystal
In order to
clear.
spend it and get it done efficiently, you gotta know where it is and what's not being spent.
Exactly.
That should be spent.
Exactly. So they lost, of course, Rhonda retired, and so she was doing all of that tracking, and now they're
Trying to
figuring
catch
out
up.
how to track it all. Yep. All right. So
Why I ask when if they're getting good at it or not.
Yeah, they're getting there. I've been on the phone and then they've been in my office several times this year, so we're working on it. Go ahead and scroll down. Now we're moving into Kids Club Council. And you're seeing the grant revenues for the different Kids Club programs. Moving on down. Their salaries, this is another one of the projects that we're working on to properly assign their salary. Right now, their salaries are all coming out of county funds, but there's grant funds, so we're going to be recoding it down and distributing those salaries. So go ahead and scroll on down. Oh, wait, go back. Back up, please. Excuse me. Insurance. Oh, $101. Okay, go ahead and scroll on down. You know, Kids Club Council, for being the tiniest department,
A lot of
it's
stuff
actually
there.
one of the most complicated. One full-time, one part-time person. It's one of the most complicated. But fortunately, she is very, very good at her reporting. So we will work all of that out as we move through the move through the year. Go ahead and scroll on down. Now we move into the VSO, and he's right on track at 25%. His overall department is at 22.95. He's been bringing in funds for VSO community outreach donations. And then there's the veterans assistant. I understand that he's not applying for the new cycle of veterans assistance grants because the state is being very, very, they're throwing him under the bus. It's one of the things that they're being really stingy about because the state is so far over them.
So I don't think,
Mhm.
and maybe we approved it by approving the budget, but another 20,800 out of LATCF funds.
Go ahead and scroll back up, please. Where did you put, where is
Page
that?
43, bottom of page 43.
Yeah, I was going to move that money from from the contingency fund where the LATCF funds are living and put it in there as revenue. And then down here, I'm going to code it as an expense for the, go ahead and scroll down. For salaries, right?
Well, so that was for year 25. I don't think we ever made
Oh,
that
did that just?
for 26. I think
Oh,
it transferred over when we transferred over the budget
oh,
and the
we did-
numbers
we
transposed,
did-
right, or just went across.
Okay.
But I'm
Not
saying,
replacing.
what I'm saying is, I think our intention was that was just for that first year.
That's
because we did it halfway through the year and
Okay,
we didn't want to take more out of general. We just took some out of LATCF.
okay,
So that really is gonna, I mean, really in all actuality, it's gonna come out of general fund for both our VSOs, not,
okay.
so.
That's right. I remember that discussion. We're doing a period 13 adjustment for 25, not for 26.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Hmm.
That's why there's nothing budgeted on this the LATCF salary line there. Okay, so we get down in here to pest and weed. We budgeted 30,000. We have not been billed on that yet. Go ahead and scroll on down. But I bet we will as we move through the summer. Useful public service, that's the contract, I believe, that you guys had for UPS. So we don't have any salaries or anything there. Go ahead and scroll on down. IT tech. They're at 15.55%. That's because we're billing most of John's salary out of assessor and emergency services right now. I think Monique Monique, I think she coded that incorrectly. That should be closer to 16% right there on the salary lines, but we'll adjust that as we move through the year. But
Yeah,
he is being paid, and he's not being paid 1,400 or 1,400 a month. So we're getting there. The data processing, that's nice because
But he's getting shared, that salary is shared.
what's that?
That salary is shared between,
Yes, it is. It's shared between the assessor, the IT, and the 60 fund for dispatch services. Because a lot of the work that he does relates to law enforcement,
so
RMS.
maybe they're not back to that to spend it soon enough off of this.
Well, I think the percentage, I think that it's weighted. I think Monique set it up weighted to emergency services. And so we'll make some corrections and balance that out.
Okay.
But he's only at 15%, and even with the conversion that we're going through, data processing is only at 22%, so that's looking really good. Looking very good. Go ahead and scroll on down. Let's get to extension office. So extension's only at 12.69% because their salaries, I believe the new person just started.
Right.
Okay. So that's going to start kicking back up a little bit. Education and training at 38%. It's not a huge, I don't know if that's a front-end budget or some front-end expense. But we'll watch that as we get into the next budget review.
Yeah, most of their trainings are earlier in the year. So
Okay, is that why they're a little bit higher right now? Okay. Oh, Rollington then, let's move on. So auxiliary service is going to be the fair. And as you see, we are starting to, well, no, let's say that's a credit. Okay.
that's weird.
Yeah, I need to find out why that was put there, why that was coded there. As a matter of fact, I can do that right now. 46200. Oh, that was an audit adjustment. So it was a debit for a fiscal year 25 expense, and then it was adjusted and coded back to 2025. And so it balances out. That's why it's still at 6,000. So we're good there. Go ahead and scroll on down. So bottom line for the general fund, we're at 31.23% of our budget. And as we saw, that has a lot to do with those front end transfers, the $570,000 transfers we did at the front end. But we are, and other front end expenses, but we're doing pretty good at 31%. And the fact that we have 20% of our revenue already, that's, I'm happy to see that. Then as we go through the year, that number will creep up. So we're dialing in our expenses versus revenue. It used to be, we used to overestimate for our revenues and well, last year we underestimated our expenses. We had to do a lot of budget amendments, but we're dialing it in and doing better. So we just keep on keeping on. Go ahead and scroll on down, please. Now we move into the 20 fund, which is of course road and bridge. You'll notice that SO, tax, BCD&F, and AF are doing well. And general property taxes, we've collected 151,706. So that's coming along. And they also got Title III funds, so that was nice.
Yeah, we actually budgeted for that somehow. But
Yeah.
those only hit once, right? The PILT fund.
Mhm.
I think so.
Yeah. Let's see here.
So it's weird that we budgeted 18,000.
It's probably a carryover from last year. You're right, it came in once, it came in the tail end of March. So we probably won't get any more off of that, and I can adjust that 18,000 down so that we're not expecting any more revenue there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 7,000, that doesn't, really doesn't, that doesn't hardly take care of anything.
Education, it would go a long ways for like mail outs or something like that from Road and Bridge.
Yeah,
We could use that money for that type of thing.
we'll have to see what we can all do under Title III for road and bridge.
Isn't it fire mitigation? Or,
Yeah, training for SAR, but I think general has might have a different set of rules than what goes to road and bridge.
gotcha. All right, let's move on down to expenses. Oil and gas and diesel, they're a little bit high at 30%. Public utilities, 37%. Another one of those hits. Like I said, I think that has to do with running heaters a lot as it starts to warm up and you don't have to run heaters and they look for the air conditioner but can't find it. That cost is going to even out. I'll take a look at why their insurance is at 27 instead of 25%. But overall, right now they're at 17.7%, so that's nice. Road and bridge salaries, I know why it's at 25% because we rolled her, she was given a little bit of an extra for cleaning the bathrooms. And we rolled that out of contract labor, which was a bad place to have it. And so that's why it's at 25.93 instead of 25.0. But overall, they're at 17.11%, so that's looking pretty good.
Man, they can move it around.
Yeah.
no
Contingency
snow.
fund.
Yeah.
We didn't have any snow, why that's low.
Yeah. Contingency fund, this is just basic, this is where the LITCF funds are hanging out. So that's why you see the fund balance there. But we didn't have anything budgeted. Self-insurance, the fun one. So we collect SO taxes for self-insurance and the general property taxes. It's coming in, but it's coming in slow. Go ahead and scroll down, please. There's the budget transfer of $215,000 to keep that fund solvent. Go ahead and scroll down. So these lines show our expenses. We haven't had any repairs, but our insurance costs were $217,000 for grounds and building. That's county general. And then road and bridge was $179,000. This includes both our liability insurance and our workers' comp. So those numbers aren't going to change. What will change will be the repairs line throughout the year. But I think that we've budgeted enough to be in a good place as we move through the year. But we'll monitor that. We need to figure out a way to pay for. I mean, our insurance costs are going up 23 to 25% every year, and our assessed valuations are only going up 11. So we will continue to have that cash infusion from someplace else. And it's just eating away at our fund balance.
The self-insurance fund mill levy is where the voters set the max. So it without the voters reapproving or upping that,
To allow us to.
we will continue to have to take out of general fund to
Right.
pay for self-insurance.
Now, there is an option to take that road and bridge insurance and bill road and bridge for it. But that's something we can do that legally, and offset the cost.
Yeah, but
But-
that would, then we'd be borrowing money to go find some road base.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no easy answer to that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead and scroll on down, please. Thank you. So these numbers won't change much. Well, I hope they won't change much, but if they do change, it'll be in the form of insurance repairs. Things that if they keep wrecking cars and whatnot, and rolling trucks. Go ahead and scroll on down. Moving on to Conservation Trust Fund. This one had a weird expense, and I go ahead and scroll down. We budgeted 59,000, but I'm seeing 62,911. Do you guys know what the
So-
extra was?
So it was Fair Board spent out of their 7,500. The 39,1197 was left, so we made them pay it back.
Okay,
Because if you don't spend it, you need to pay it back.
Right.
So they paid it back. That's what the reimbursed. So really that should be reimbursed to 25s
okay,
because the award went out in 25.
Right.
all right,
So then what they did, or what I told them is, okay, you got it back. Ask for that, since you didn't spend it for 26, ask for the extra. So you ask for your normal 7,500 plus the 3911 that you didn't spend last year.
okay. That's where that came from then.
So the 391197 really should be reimbursed to last year.
Okay, so
And-
I'll move this back to fiscal year 25.
And then we need to
the
up-
budget amendment to bring.
Bring that up.
Yep.
Cut
Correct.
that off.
Gotcha. All right.
So that's what happened there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We maybe should work on a formal process of maybe, I don't know,
Formal
think
process
about
for,
to keep you clued in, or
okay.
I don't know.
Well, you know,
Well, that's what
the
this.
conversation, yeah, that's what this is for,
It
really.
does, so,
So,
but that's what happened there.
okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And we will stay on top of that better, so we capture that before the end of the year.
Okay,
Well, I mean, technically, they have until December 31st to spend those funds.
Exactly right. So you're cleaning it up in January,
Yeah.
February. So
yeah, we're
we
always gonna
cleaned
do
it
the
up
accounting.
so we
Yeah.
can make the CTF report by the end of February. So
Gotcha.
that's why we're talking about it now.
Gotcha.
So,
True enough.
We're on into the 50 fund now. Of course, capital improvement, capital expenditures. Received 25% of sales tax and commissions. This is the 0.5% that we talked about earlier. So right on track with 25%. That's nice. Remember, it also includes $150,000 transfer from the general fund. Otherwise, we wouldn't have.
Now-
needed.
that fund transfer,
Uh-huh.
that's for something else, right?
That was it's for expenses in the 50.
Right,
Yeah.
right, because
Because our revenue was not
we
gonna
can't
cover.
put it somewhere else. If it's for, say, landfill,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't come out of it, the money might come out of the landfill expansion fund, but it's gotta be charged to capital. We're not just deciding that, oh, we wanna spend more in capital improvement, and we don't have enough money, let's pull it out of another account.
That in particular came from the 10 fund. It came from the general fund.
But was was that part of the corrections that we needed to make from the past 4 years?
I'm not quite following.
So there was corrections of not correcting balances between funds
No,
in the audit.
this money right here was because our projected capital expenditures in 26 were going to be over any amount of revenue that we could reasonably expect. And the only way we could cover all of those capital expenditures and not basically be whittling down our balancing the budget. We wanted to balance the budget, so we budgeted a $150,000 movement from the general fund into the 50 fund. That's where that 150 came from. When we go back to my office, I can show you the spreadsheets that we made when we were doing the budget. Can you scroll back up
I
to?
mean, yeah,
Very-
so I understand the insurance fund
Mhm.
because we know that is, we just don't pull in enough in revenue.
Right.
Yeah, I need to understand more why we transferred the 150, what it all covers.
Well,
We can't just spend and go, whatever the capital doesn't cover, we're gonna pull from the 10 fund. That can't be our mindset
Just,
as commissioners. I'm not saying it's your fault. It's not your fault.
No,
You
we
did,
just-
you took direction. I'm trying to figure out, why did I give that direction? What was my thought process behind that direction?
we've
Why-
absorbed a lot of expenses in the 50 fund that
Because we used to put them somewhere else,
we used to.
Because
put-
we-
because they were capital
Road
outlay.
and bridge we started using
Yeah.
it for road and bridge.
So,
I mean, 120 of that 150 could in fact be to cover the road and bridge capital.
It did, some of it did.
Because road and bridge was going underwater. And if we didn't do that movement right
Then we
there,
made it-
road and bridge would be underwater. right
Then we made it a positive thing to do in the future because capital expenses should have been out of there anyway. That's why it's,
well, and we've we've gone back and forth on that. Should the road and bridge mill levy pay for all their capital improvement?
and the view is that's their mission. But we're responsible for the infrastructure, so logically, legally, it's okay to do it.
Well, I understand that, and maybe it's
transparency wise.
maybe it's a philosophical. Comes down to,
Because what would happen if we left it there? We'd just be pulling it out later. Anyway,
but we can sock all these capital improvement stuff to the capital improvement fund, great. But if we do that with all the equipment for road and bridge forever, then was the mill levy originally set that, hey, this is gonna buy equipment? It's done it in the past, why are they not doing it now?
Well,
And I battle
that's a good
that
question.
all the time.
It's exactly like the self-insurance fund. The mill levy is not keeping up with
The need.
the inflation, the higher cost of materials, and the higher cost of services. It's
that's a problem because you got to go back to the voters and the likelihood of getting it to happen gets less. Anyway,
I mean, if you want to look at numbers, let's go ahead and scroll down to road and bridge capital, please. Almost there. Almost there.
Being very slow, sorry.
Road and bridge capital improvement. So 243,000, and that number is gonna go up, 243,000 plus, 180,000 for insurance. So in essence, road and bridge is dependent upon every other mill levy to a tune of $450,000 every year. When our mill levy, so when you look at that, that's a 3 mil increase, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
So if road and bridge ever wanted to be self-sufficient, they would have to move from 5 mils to 8 mils.
we'd have to be
minimum.
always moving.
Yeah.
It's not stagnant.
Yeah, I mean, if the voters approved a mill levy increase from 5 to 8. I see in between 7 and 10 years, we'd have to add another mill on because of inflation.
Right. Which is what we're gonna have to do anyway,
Unfortunately.
eventually.
But go ahead and scroll down just a little bit more. The 50 fund is at this point in time, sorry, only at 23.14%. So
Okay, there you go.
we're doing fairly well. We are expecting a significant amount of grants for the different projects coming in there. But it's getting to be summer and we're going to be starting so we'll start seeing that number climb up. Let's go ahead and move on to the 55 fund. So the only red flag here is the contract labor line, and I think the thought process is that certain certain expenses need to be moved from contract labor to professional services. Because you'll notice that contract labor only has $1,000 budgeted, but professional services has 37. So I'm going to
Yeah, it
analyze
kills me.
that. But their overall bottom line, go ahead and scroll up. Their overall bottom line is they're only at 11.38%, so they're doing really well on their expenses.
There'll be some real revamping there.
Yeah.
In the upcoming months.
And I look forward to that. We move some money around a little bit. All right, so now we're into the health insurance fund, the 56 fund. Go ahead and scroll on down. This one is a work in progress. So you notice here, we budgeted $500,000 for payroll deposits. So when we made the budget, we were in the process of this conversion, so we didn't really have hard numbers. We really didn't know exactly what we were going to be looking at for this. This is what we call an internal service fund, by the way. Now that we have 3 months on the system, we have some better numbers. So you notice, so 500,000, we budgeted $500,000 worth of revenue. Remember, that's paid when we do our payroll. We pay ourselves basically. The actual revenue is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $860,000. So don't need to do much with the revenue, but when you scroll down and we look at the expenses, we budgeted $500,000. Now that we're looking at it, we're actually, now that we've got 3 months on it and I can make calculations, we actually need to bump the budgeted expense line to about $800,000 because I've got admin fees broken out by month. I have a good understanding of what the broker and medical claim fees are going to be. And of course, ADD, supplemental, and COBRA, those are all going to be about the same each month. So I'll be coming to you with a budget amendment that will clean this up a little bit. So we'll have because now we have a better understanding.
Get offset with the grant now.
There's no grant for health insurance. This is basically, this is our, because we moved away from CTSI and to do a self-insurance fund. This includes medical billing, office visits, prescriptions, as well as flex card and that type of thing. I've created several spreadsheets for tracking, and so I can have more accurate numbers there. I think that all told, by the end of the year, we can reasonably expect to be banking between $20,000 and $60,000 a year. So I think that I crunched the numbers this morning on the actual breakouts, those admin fees times 4, the numbers that haven't been billed yet. So it is working, and we're making it work. It's an interesting challenge, but we're making it work. All right, let's scroll on down to the 60 fund. As you see, SO tax and property tax are on track about normal with everybody else. There's a $90,000 transfer from the general fund in there. This is where we see the dispatch GIS support, it's a little bit out of balance from the other two salary lines, so I'll make some corrections and we'll get that figured out. Professional services line, you'll see that's dispatch. And they just billed us for the second quarter we paid it on March 31st. So what you're seeing represents half the year.
I thought we put $30,000 in emergency services fund.
We put it into you mean the CAD line?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so that CAD line, which we haven't touched yet, is to help cover some upgrading and collaboration with the for CAD dispatch services, the CAD system on dispatch. Go ahead and scroll down. Thank you. I really appreciate your help on this.
Getting
go ahead.
tired.
I'm tired of it glitching between what I'm doing.
Guessing what's next?
So,
Medical insurance, huh?
yeah, it's at 124% on a $70 budget. Once again, that has to do with the signups for medical insurance. Go ahead and scroll down. She's been billing out of EMPG salary line first, so that because you just never know what the state is going to do next grant cycle, which starts or next on their budget cycle, which starts in July. So she's billing out of that first. Once that money reaches once that money is exhausted, we'll switch her over to the county-based salary line.
Sure.
But she's doing well on her budget. Go ahead and scroll on down to the end. She's only at 14.3%. So she's doing pretty well there. Revenue is a little bit low, so she's got to do her reimbursements. All told for the entire 60 fund, they're at 30%, but that also includes the dispatch services, which is a front year expense. So that's understandable that it's at 30.
Why is all of her wage right now coming out of the EMPG match?
Because that one, we bill out of that one first, so that because
That's
if
the
it
main
goes
one they
away
get
at
every
the end,
year.
if it goes away in
Burn it.
July,
Work it.
we've expended it.
That's what's happened in the past, anyway.
Once that's expended, we'll move her to the salary line.
But are we reimbursed the whole 50% up front?
I don't know
Or is that
exactly how
that
much
to
she
do it?
gets reimbursed for that, but
It's
that's what
when
she
they-
told
I
us
think
to
it's
bill her
burn it and
salary.
get it back,
What if we don't get it back?
then we're screwed.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we burn it. So this period right now between January and June, we've been that's a sure thing. Well, nothing's sure thing, but that's part of the grant contract.
Yeah.
That
They actually expect that to happen. That's all counties.
yeah, we expect it to disappear as of July. So, and she has other grant codes that she can use for salary as well. Moving on down to airport. Hey, we got Clyde's salary exact, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Travel, they're a little bit high. I think they went to a big conference.
Yeah.
They
They went
did.
to a conference. That's why that's a little bit high. Public utilities, once again, we're getting charged more than we realized. Maybe we need to be using some of that Jet A fuel and running a generator up there.
Old road and bridge, they ought to be using it.
There you go.
We need to refresh the tank and it's cheaper than they can buy anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's not dyed, so hey, there we go. Public utilities, like I said, higher, communications. I need to take a look and see why communications is a little bit high, because he doesn't actually have a phone. Insurance. So he does not, so Clyde does not take insurance. What you're seeing on this insurance line is not medical insurance. It's liability coverage on the airport. So
Yeah, and that, I thought that had gone way down.
here, let me pull it up real quick here. So I looked it up. It's actually two different payments.
Probably a matter of timing then.
The,
Yeah, the front load.
okay, so in January, there was 2860 Arthur J. Gallagher Insurance
Yeah.
to cover the airport. And then there was the Arthur J. Gallagher Airport Liability Public Officials Insurance for
Okay.
1,800.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we should be done now with insurance.
Pretty much. We do, of course, have the ADD and life insurance that we pull on excuse me, on Clyde. So, but we should be pretty much done for insurance there. Scrolling. I hesitate to even look at the 70 fund. So the 70 fund, what we discovered, what Vicky and I have been working on over the last several months, we started in the budget process, was to restructure the 70 fund to more accurately represent the state funds available for pass-through, because we've been leaving a lot of money on the table. A lot of things that the county has been absorbing should have been paid by the state. Yeah. And so as we get into the 70 fund, you'll notice, go ahead and scroll on down. You'll notice that there's a lot of new departments. Let's see. So you'll notice here in the salaries, there's a reason why they're at 100% there. This is a work in progress, and we are figuring out how to assign the salaries to every location that they need to be assigned to as we go down. We also had an employee that was out for various reasons, that because they weren't doing work for another public service, we had to pay out of the county funded line. So that's why it's a little high. We'll be doing some adjustments as we move on. But if you scroll down, keep going. So everything you're seeing is administration, what the county pays. If you scroll on down, you'll notice that we get into, okay, so here's Colorado Works. Those are specific refund line. We get into core admin services rather. This is another type of billing. Go ahead and scroll down. You get into admins, supplemental visitation, and you notice $20,000 worth of salaries for in this core admin supplemental visitation department. And go ahead and scroll down. And now we get into CS.
Go to CPS or Child Protection Services or one of the other ones.
Support.
So basically, if I'm a caseworker for Vicky White and DHS, part of my salary that day might be to child welfare because I had a child welfare case. The other 4 hours or the other 5 hours might be to APS because I have an adult protection services or another function. So
and it actually gets even more complicated.
yeah,
Go ahead and scroll that back down just a little bit.
complex.
So this is child welfare, 100% reimbursable by the state. This is child welfare, 80/20 reimbursable by the state. So you notice we've broken up several salaries. Go ahead and scroll down. And when you get into, and I think Child Protective Services is down here.
80/20.
Now there's child care admin.
CPS is child welfare.
CPS is child welfare?
Yeah, it's Child Protection Services or child welfare.
Oh, okay.
It's the same.
All right.
No, same thing, different nomenclature.
So it's very complicated, and it is a work in progress. Both Vicky and I knew that the numbers, they were the best that we could work with when we made the budget, but we knew that we'd be moving things around. Here's Adult Protective Services. So if you actually, so really the bottom line is the most important one. We will be doing some budget amendments and some movement of money. We won't be changing the bottom line. We think we've got the bottom line in a good place.
Yeah.
But if you notice, they're only at 21%, so they're doing really well too. And if you want to go down to page 100, I love the fact that it just worked out perfect. We are at, across the county, 29.38% of expected expenditures and 24.84% of expected revenues. So
Oh, we're right.
we're just right about it.
Where we should be.
In line. The 4.38% that we're seeing there are going to be the front year expenses that are not going to be reoccurring throughout the year.
We're not overspending, that's for sure.
Well, I would say I've been here almost as long as you, sir, and I think that we are being more fastidious about money in the last 2 years
Oh, absolutely.
than at any point, and the monitoring that is happening is pretty amazing.
It is.
So,
The audience needs to know that.
well, that's why I said it.
Yeah, yeah, the mice on the other end got it.
All right, do you have any other questions for me?
No, thank you for going with that.
Good job.
Very good.
Would you like the next one we do, which will be in July? Would you like department, would you like other people here? How
Yeah,
would you like to start?
They gotta be, because we're gonna take money from them.
Yeah, we have to make it time. Yeah.
Take it by department.
Okay. We'll be starting the budget process, right? So when we do our mid-year budget review, I will also be sending out the spreadsheets for everybody to work on for their budgets. Excuse me. So I think that'll really benefit everybody to say, okay, this is where we're at. Really analyze what you're doing, and let's prep for next year.
No, and I did hear that people appreciated that. They didn't ever sit in anybody else's thing, and then they
Yeah.
appreciated knowing
Yeah, they
why.
knew that everybody else was about in the same boat.
Probably, or that there was a reason their priority wasn't as high as they thought it was.
Yeah, like maybe I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah,
Well, and
that's good.
I think this, that communication, breaking down the silos, and, everybody's in the similar boat, that we just all have
It's the
to.
same pot I kept.
Yep. We just have to really take a look at how we're spending money and and what type of service we're providing, so I think it's important.
Yep, it's very good. Who gets this?
I'll take that. Thank you.
Okay. Are we dismissed, Vernon?
Hey, it's your show. Yes, I believe that you are done, sir.
Good.